The demonstrations performed in Peter's workshop are done so in a safe and controlled environment and under the supervision of trained professionals. The information provided on specific techniques and procedures should be used for entertainment purposes only. Do not attempt any of the operations shown unless you have been trained by an expert in the field.
Hi, I'm Peter Demko, and welcome to another episode of Peter's Workshop.
Have you ever wondered how they manufacture perfectly symmetrical objects from wood? The answer dates back to the Egyptians, where an illustration of a two-man wood lathe was found in a pharaoh's tomb. Since then, lathes have evolved in both form and function to produce a much wider array of items. Powerful motors and modern technology make it possible to mass-produce turned products with increasing precision. This episode will focus on the craft of wood turning and will provide very basic demonstrations of the most common wood turning tools.
Now, while on every episode of Peter's Workshop I cover safety, in this episode we're using a much more dangerous tool. The wood lathe creates so much flying debris and all sorts of dust, so it's extremely important to not just wear safety goggles, but a full face mask.
The basic wood lathe consists of three major components: the headstock assembly, the tool rest, and the tailstock. The headstock is powered by an electric motor. Inside the headstock chuck is a fixed spindle bit. The workpiece is held in the lathe in 2 points. The tailstock contains a spindle bit similar to that of the headstock. However, this bit is free to spin with the workpiece while holding the other end of the wood. The exact centers of each end of the wood blank are carefully marked. These 2 points indicate the wood's axis of rotation when clamped between the headstock and tailstock. If these center marks are not correct, the wood's rotation will be uneven and the wood will vibrate out of the lathe. The headstock spindle bit, which grips and spins the wood, is hammered into one end of the workpiece. This leaves small indentations in the wood and helps position the piece securely within the lathe. The spindle bit is now returned to the headstock and the workpiece is positioned on the lathe. The tailstock is now adjusted to fit the length of the wooden blank. With the wood blank held in place between the headstock and the tailstock's position is locked in place. The wood blank is then fully secured by pushing the tailstock spindle tight into the end of the workpiece. The tool rest can now be adjusted to a proper position and height. The tool rest's position must be checked for adequate clearance of the rotating workpiece. Depending on the type of woodworking project, there are 5 turning tools that should form the foundation of a beginner's tool set. The first tool is called a roughing gouge and should be used to take off the sharp corners and establish the basic shape of the wooden blank. The next tool is called a spindle gouge
and is used similarly to the roughing gouge, but only after the rough blank has been smoothed quite a bit. Another tool is called a diamond parting tool. Its tip is diamond-shaped and is used to establish the spindle's diameter. The tool is typically applied to one specific section of the work at a time, and used to take down the diameter of the spindle quickly. A rounded scraper is a simple tool used to smooth out ridges left by the other tools, and also to create concave rings in the wood. The skew chisel is shaped similarly to a normal wood chisel and is used to create deep crevices into the spindle shape.